This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Thursday, December 10th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the Texas lawsuit challenging the results of the presidential election now at the U.S. Supreme Court, awaiting a response from the 4 swing states named in the suit. And we're going to hear why it is the most important challenge yet, although some analysts question if it can succeed. The Food and Drug Administration considering approval of Pfizer's vaccine for the coronavirus. That action coming as the U.S. sets a new record for the daily death toll. And although the vaccines are giving hope for turning the situation around with the virus, the disease is likely to make this winter especially difficult for the homeless and those who minister to them. And Israel, once again, shooting for the moon. We're going to tell you about the Jewish state's new attempt to return to the lunar surface. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour in Texas with a lawsuit at the Supreme Court challenging the results of the presidential election in 4 key swing states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Georgia. Those states have until 3 p.m. today to file a response at the High Court. The suit is considered a long shot. It is basically an attempt to change the result of the presidential election. It says officials in those 4 swing states violated the Constitution by changing election procedures, something that state legislatures are supposed to do.
This is the most significant of the cases filed, and it's the most significant because it is, as Jordan just said, completely outcome determinative. What does that mean? It means that if the court were to rule in favor of Texas, those 4 states, the states named in the complaint, would in fact have their state legislatures determine the outcome. They would pick the electors.
17 other states have now joined the Texas suit, but some conservative legal analysts doubt it can succeed. The Justice Department is investigating the finances of President-elect Joe Biden's son, including scrutinizing some of his Chinese business dealings and other transactions. The revelations put a renewed spotlight on questions about Hunter Biden's financial history. The tax investigation was launched in 2018, the year before the leader Biden announced his candidacy for president. Hunter Biden says he expects to be cleared. President Trump and his allies have accused him of profiting off his political connections. The Food and Drug Administration is taking up the issue of final approval for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. It comes as the number of daily deaths from the coronavirus has hit a new record high. With the virus surging around the country, states are enforcing new lockdown measures, prompting some to openly defy them to save their livelihoods. Our George Thomas is on this story.
With the virus exploding across the country, officials from California to Michigan to North Carolina are imposing strict lockdown rules again. 13 counties in California shutting down indoor and outdoor dining. Tui's, one of the more than 30,000 restaurants in LA County, caught in the ban.
We can't pay our employees, we can't pay our vendors. It's very frustrating.
Restaurant owners took their case to court, but even though a county judge ruled health officials did not provide enough proof to justify banning outdoor dining, they're still closed because of statewide lockdown. California businessman John Cox telling CBN News that Governor Gavin Newsom's arbitrary restrictions are killing small businesses.
It's being absolutely decimated by these lockdowns, and they're not based on science.
The food and beverage industry, more than any other sector of the economy, is bearing the brunt. So far, more than 110,000 restaurants across the country have closed their doors either permanently or long-term.
Based upon our most recent forecast, we're now estimating $215 billion in lost revenue, which is just staggering.
On the vaccine front, the Food and Drug Administration's advisory committee meeting today to decide whether Americans can begin getting Pfizer's vaccine shot. If approved, distribution could begin in days with more than 2 million doses ready to ship. Meanwhile, the UK reporting that 2 healthcare workers who took the Pfizer vaccine had allergic reactions. Officials now warning people with a history of significant allergic reactions not to get the shot. News that Americans could start getting the vaccine in a matter of days could not come sooner. The U.S. had its deadliest day Wednesday, with 3,250 people dying in a 24-hour period. George Thomas, CBN News.
And our medical reporter Lori Johnson joins us now with more. So we heard in George report 2 UK health workers have allergic reactions. Should people who have a history with those kinds of reactions be concerned?
Well, right now, temporarily at least, until investigators know exactly what happened, people who have severe allergic reactions should hold off on getting the vaccine. An emphasis on the word severe. These two healthcare workers had severe allergies. These are people who go around with an EpiPen all the time, who have probably in the past been rushed to the hospital because of an allergic reaction. So these are the people we're talking about. There were no people in any of the clinical trials, which involved tens of thousands of people. None of those people had a history of severe allergic reactions. And so these two healthcare workers are doing just fine now. Again, they're looking into, did the vaccine cause them to have their allergic reactions yesterday? It could have been something else. Until then, we're just going to put the brakes on people who have severe allergic. I have terrible allergies. Let me just say, this is not me.
Gotcha. So George reported also the FDA, of course, is looking at approving Pfizer's vaccine. Do you expect them to give the go-ahead?
Absolutely. And despite this allergy thing, which is really not affecting most people. So Pfizer would not have submitted their proposal if they didn't know that they have the evidence to back it up. So this independent group is going to vote today and make their recommendation to the FDA. Then the FDA and the CDC will sign off on it. And within 24 hours, the vaccines will be shipped to wherever they need to go. And within 96 hours of that approval, there will be shots in the arm. So we're looking at the beginning of next week. Couldn't come sooner. Couldn't come soon enough.
Yeah, you got that right. Now, let's turn to the number of deaths. It's hit more than 3,200 in a single day. You mentioned a few days ago that it would likely keep climbing. Will the vaccines help to slow that down?
Absolutely. And so we're to kind of give some sort of perspective to how many deaths we're talking about. This is well more than 2 deaths per minute. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. We had over 3,000 deaths. That's by far the most deaths in one day since this whole pandemic began. So yes, of course, I interviewed a doctor yesterday who said that the vaccine is what is going to turn the corner on this pandemic. Although we have to remember, between now and when the vaccine takes effect, that's going to be a long time. First of all, we know that there are 2 shots. So there's 1 shot. Then you wait 3 weeks and get another shot, and it's a week after that second shot, so a month after the first shot, that you really have that immunity. So even this first round of people who are getting vaccines, they're not going to be fully immune for about another month. And we're only talking about 20 million people. We have 330 million people in the whole country. So we should have about a third of the population vaccinated by the end of February.
So we're really only at the beginning of the end, if you will.
Right, so we really need to practice these mitigation efforts until then.
Absolutely. A new Associated Press poll finds that only about half of Americans are actually ready to take the vaccine. Should people be worried about the side effects? I'm hearing a lot of people as well saying, I'm not taking it.
Right. So about 50% say they trust it. I saw another poll that said about 60% trust it. If you talk to people who have medical degrees, it's up to about 100%. So the people who know the most about the vaccine, who know the most about this virus, are all in, and they say it's safe and effective. As far as the side effects you were talking about, these are temporary side effects. They only last for a few days. Talking about pain at the injection site, muscle aches, fever, fatigue, things like that. It's very normal because that shows that your immune system is building up that response, but they don't last long.
All right, Lori Johnson, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. One country that is going ahead with Pfizer's vaccine is Israel. Israel says it will begin vaccinating its people December 27th. It's expecting to receive millions of doses of the vaccines in the coming weeks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was on hand when the first shipment arrived.
We're here on a big day of celebration for the state of Israel. We see the end. We still need to maintain the rules of masks, on washing hands and keeping distance, but the end is visible. And what's important to me is that the people of Israel will be vaccinated. I believe in this vaccine. I expect it will receive the appropriate approval in the coming days.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said that he believed in the vaccine so much he would be the first to receive it. Coming up, a closer look at the Texas lawsuit challenging the presidential election that is going before the United States Supreme Court. We're going to hear from Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch about the case. We've got the story for you when we come back.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5 Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
With state electors scheduled to vote their choice for president next week, Donald Trump hopes for re-election, and it may depend on a lawsuit filed by the Texas Attorney General. The main argument of the case is that the votes of Texans and others were diluted by unconstitutional decisions over election procedures in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, and Wisconsin. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton explains on this week's episode of The Global Lay.
Did these states conduct their elections in a way that we can be confident of the outcome, that we should, A, allow their electoral college slates to go forward as if nothing happened. And I don't think that is the case. The courts may intervene, state legislatures may intervene, and in the end, Congress may reject electors as well. So this fight isn't going to be over until January 20th, if then.
Now, you know about the 1997 Foster versus Love case decided by the Supreme Court. Apparently, on a vote of 9-0, the court ruled that federal law requires that elections be decided on a single day, by midnight election day. So what do you think of raising that argument before the Supreme Court this time around?
Well, I've always highlighted that law. It's 3 U.S.C. Section 1. Your viewers can look it up, and it essentially says that we're supposed to pick the electors on Election Day. And never before, at least in modern American history, did we have one result on Election Day that was changed in multiple states by counting that continued after Election Day. And I'm talking about President Trump won these states on Election Day, and that outcome was changed as a result of extraordinary and unprecedented counting after Election Day. And all the problems that have resulted from that have put us in the place we're in now. And federal law also requires that if they don't pick electors on Election Day, the states, the state legislatures can step in and see and do what they need to do to pick a slate of electors, which is what I think those who are concerned about the compromised elections are asking the state legislatures to do now.
And Tom, I know you predicted this election mess. In Chapter 4 of your book, you sounded the alarm about dirty voter rolls, mail-in balloting. You pointed out that in California alone, 58 counties have voter registration rates exceeding 100% of age-eligible citizens. Now, regardless of who is ultimately sworn in as president on January 20th, what do we need to do to protect the integrity of our elections?
We need to clean up the election rolls to make sure if we're going to do mail-in balloting, the ballots are being sent and received from lists that are somewhat clean. But we really need to get away from mail-in balloting because it is so unsecure. Only, I think, 2 states have strong voter ID requirements tied to mail-in balloting. Everything else is just pinky promises, frankly. We need citizenship verification. It's too easy for non-citizens to vote in our elections because no one checks to make sure that only citizens are registered, practically speaking. And we also need to stop ballot harvesting, which allows strangers to go around collecting ballots and presumably doing whatever they want with them without much check. So those are the various issues that we need to approach to deal with to preserve and protect future elections. But in the meantime, all those issues, I think, should be litigated or brought before state legislators before they start messing with the election results from 2020.
Finally, Tom, we can't let you go without asking about Attorney General Barr's decision to appoint John Durham as a special counsel, extending the investigation of the Russia probe and Crossfire Hurricane. Your thoughts on that? Because a lot of people wanted to see some big-name indictments. Those haven't come. Do we need an outside independent prosecutor to investigate the Justice Department?
Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the key issues is that you've had the Justice Department investigating itself. The FBI is part of the Justice Department as well. The president, in my view, should appoint an outside special prosecutor to look at all of these issues. I was disappointed the Attorney General made this appointment in secret prior to the election. It's amazing how all these decisions by the Justice Department all tend to inure to the benefit of the opponents of President Trump, while those wanting the rule of law promoted can't seem to get much in the way of justice from the Justice Department. And Durham's been a big fail in my estimation. There have been no serious prosecutions of high-level people, let alone investigations. And my concern is they've stayed away from people like Obama, Biden, Hillary Clinton, and have ignored wrongdoing by senior officials in the Obama administration and the deep state. And I'm not seeing any evidence they're going to do much of different, even if Durham's a special counsel. I think the special counsel appointment guarantees we get a report, not prosecutions.
Also tonight on the Global Lane, we have a look at the current situation in the Middle East with the threat from Iran and the recent peace deals between Israel and Arab countries known as the Arab Accords. You can see the Global Lane this evening on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Still ahead, even though the coronavirus vaccines could mean life returning to normal beginning in the spring, this winter still promises to be extremely difficult, especially for the homeless and those working to help them. We've got the story for you. It's coming up right after this.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances. I'll give you my best praise. Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5.
every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Many are hoping to see life return to normal, at least beginning in the spring, if the coronavirus vaccines are effective and distributed properly, according to the chief advisor for Operation Warp Speed. But this winter, it will still be a very different story, especially for the homeless and those who minister to them. Charlene Aaron has this story.
A surge in COVID cases coupled with plunging temperatures amount to greater safety measures for homeless shelters across the country. Some must limit the number of people they can help during this time when the need is even greater than usual.
We have not missed a beat, but every beat has changed. The Bowery Mission never shut down.
The Bowery Mission, a Christian shelter in New York, first opened to the city's homeless in 1879. Earlier this year, the Big Apple became ground zero in the battle against the coronavirus, forcing the Bowery Mission to change procedures.
On March 15th, we were serving meals indoors in our dining hall around tables. On March 16th, we were serving meals outdoors to go on a socially distanced line. It was an incredible adjustment.
President and CEO James Winans says the change comes just as needs have grown.
We saw double the number of people coming for meals that we were used to serving. We would often open our doors to 250 people. Now we had 500 people on the line. And these were folks who were not necessarily experiencing homelessness. These were folks who had recently lost jobs. They had no income, and they were looking for emergency food.
Further south, Union Mission Ministries in Norfolk, Virginia, also making adjustments.
The big, large community gatherings that rescue missions are known for on Thanksgiving Day had to be shuttered. We passed out tickets and with numbers, and we fed in shifts.
Reverend John Gray, who heads the Union Mission, says the ministry can only fill half its normal 400-bed capacity, to the point of even turning some away.
It was mainly people that were coming from other states, and we just encouraged them to stay where they were, to seek resources. Frankly, these were places where these were hot spots, and we just had to make the decision. It just was the most prudent thing to do.
For the Bowery, running 5 locations during the pandemic is especially difficult.
We did eventually add some spacing to our dormitories. We did a lot of cleaning.
There have been a few flare-ups.
We have had both staff and guests experience COVID, but we have not had any community spread. We are so grateful. We consider that a bit of God's miracle.
To keep cases down, residents are given daily temperature checks, and hygiene is top priority.
We have a modified van that stops in front of the Bowery Mission every day with 2 private shower units in it. People are able to get a clean set of clothes. We have hand washing stations at our locations.
As New York prepares for a resurgence of the virus, Bowery Mission stands ready to serve its city's most vulnerable.
We know at the Bowery Mission that there are thousands of New Yorkers who do not have a home, and we were not going to leave them behind.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, Israel aims for the moon again as it is planning to launch a second lunar mission. We're going to tell you about its new announcement when we come back. Stay with us.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Check out the CBN News Daily Rundown podcast each weekday with me, Caitlin Burke. Click on the show tab at cbnnews.com where you can listen and subscribe.
Israel is aiming for the moon again after its unsuccessful first attempt last year. Israeli officials have announced the launch of the Bereshit 2 project. That is President Reuven Rivlin on the left with Science and Technology Minister Itzhar Shai. The mission to send a second spacecraft to the lunar surface. Israeli scientists hope to make it to the moon in about 4 years. Several other countries are interested in joining the project, including, in a sign of the times, the United Arab Emirates. Bereshit is the Hebrew for in the beginning. The first spacecraft was carrying a copy of the Hebrew Bible to be left on the moon after the mission was completed. Time now for your Thursday Thankful. I encourage you to take a posture of gratitude today and join me in this prayer. Father, thank you for the good and the bad. You are with me through it all, and you will never leave me. With that prayer, I hope you will make this entire day a day filled with gratitude, a thankful Thursday indeed. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. In fact, you can find them there at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And we're available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Join us again right here next time. We look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.